Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another weather sim forecast. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. It is July 29th, 2025, and we got some weather to talk about, as not only are we looking at the potential for more severe storms, especially as we head into the next couple of days, but we also got a little bit of a weather pattern change to expect, especially as we head not only into the later part of August, but I think we could also see even a bigger change once we head into the end of this year, which we will also be going over in today's forecast as well, by not only taking a look at the tropics, but we'll also be taking a look at what we could see in terms of water temperatures in the eastern Pacific, and this is what's going to really help us know about what to expect as we get into not only fall but also winter. So make sure you guys are staying alerted out there. Let's first start off by going over severe storms for today, and you guys can see that for today we do have a slight risk level 2 out of 5 threat, which includes areas from Montana down into Wyoming, including areas just to the north there, Cheyenne, back down into Rapid City, South Dakota, into much of Nebraska, northeastern Colorado, and even heading over there into parts there of Iowa. Main concern for today will be some large hail along with maybe a damaging wind gust or two. We could even see some wind gusts maybe around 75 miles per hour or greater with some of those storms, which appears to be the main concern overall. So if you guys do live in Nebraska or even parts there of western Iowa, you guys really need to make sure you guys are securing your objects, as like I said, where you see this black area with the lines going through, that's an indication that once again we could see maybe a few storms produce up to 75 miles per hour winds or greater, which would be hurricane force, and that's enough to cause a lot of damage to not only trees and power lines, but could also damage roofs, siding, and trees. So you guys really need to make sure you guys are taking that seriously for today. And then for the tornado threat, we actually don't have a tornado threat today, but once again, if we do catch a strong wind gust or two, we could definitely see some tornado like damage, so we still need you guys to be taking it seriously anyway. And then once we enter tomorrow, the severe weather threat shifts farther off to the east, which is good news, especially for you guys over there across the plains. We still got a little bit of a risk over there across Wyoming, Montana, even parts there of eastern South Dakota and eastern Nebraska, or western South Dakota and western Nebraska, and even parts there of northern Colorado. We will definitely keep an eye on that area. But I think the bigger concern overall is going to be this marginal risk, which actually heads from Missouri all the way over there towards New York City and back up there towards even a little sliver there of Maine. So very large marginal risk that we must keep an eye on tomorrow. And tomorrow there is a little bit of a hail threat, not just across the Rocky Mountains, but also over here across areas of the Northeast. We also do have a risk for even some damaging winds. And then as you guys just saw, we don't really have any tornado threat in play for tomorrow, which is good news once again. But if we do see a strong wind gust or two, that could still cause some damage. Like I said, we still want you guys to be weather aware anyway, because it can still be a little bit of a problem, and we could even see maybe a little bit of severe weather once we enter day 3. But as of right now, we're mainly just talking a general risk, which means we probably will be seeing just a little bit of a break from severe weather. But I do expect that to ramp right back up with this change that we're about to see, which we will talk about in just a second. Before we talk about this change, I also want to talk about the storms, because you guys can see that over the next 2 days we are still going to be looking at showers and thunderstorms across Minnesota and Wisconsin. And I did actually forget to point out yesterday, I apologize for not being able to keep you guys up to date with this, but we actually had a derecho that rolled on through across parts there of South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. Like I said, I apologize for not being able to do a video yesterday, but you guys should definitely still be staying weather aware out there, even as we head into the next few days, as showers and thunderstorms will likely continue. And like I said, same today, as we are looking at the potential potential for some strong damaging winds, especially as we get into the nighttime hours tonight. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that closely. And then once again, we'll even see more storms trying to fire up even once we enter tomorrow, and possibly even continuing into Thursday. So we will keep an eye on that very closely as well, as there is certainly the potential that we could catch a couple of showers and storms, which may contain, I should say, some very strong wind gusts. So we will have to keep an eye on that closely, especially as we get into the nighttime hours tonight. You guys can see that this is around 10 p.m. tonight, and like I said, we got all those showers and storms that we're gonna have to watch for, including a significant risk for damaging winds. And then we should see a lot of that severe weather start to go away, but we still got that risk even as we head into our Wednesday. Another big concern that we must watch for is also a little bit of flooding. You guys can see that for flooding, we actually do have a area over here across the I-95 corridor that could see anywhere from 2 to 4 inches over the next couple of days. And then we also got another area over here across areas of Iowa, Missouri, even over there into Nebraska, Illinois, and Indiana. Like I said, we could be talking about some flooding issues, especially as we head into the next couple of days for those areas. So like I said, you guys really need to make sure you guys are, keeping on the weather and being weather aware. Even though there may not be a tornado threat in play, it doesn't mean you shouldn't take it seriously, especially today, where once again a wind gust or two of up to 75 miles per hour cannot be ruled out, which could cause tornado-like damage once again. And then of course we will also be watching a couple other areas, especially those areas down there in New Mexico, as there could be some isolated flooding issues down there as well. Let's also talk about this pattern change that we're expecting, especially as we head into the future, because for right now, showers and storms will likely continue across much of the United States, especially over there across the plains and Midwest, where we do have a little bit of a severe weather risk, especially as we head today, tomorrow, and even into our Wednesday. And after this cold front comes on through, you guys can kind of tell just by looking, we're actually going to have a cold front coming on through, which is actually going to bring cooler than normal temperatures to a large area of the United States. Let me draw that a little bit better, but we're going to be seeing those below normal temperatures for a very large portion there of the eastern and central United States. And you guys can see that that weather pattern is just going to continue until we start to see that warm air jump right back on in, and then that will give us chances for showers and storms once again. And so I do recommend you guys keep an eye on this weather pattern very closely, as this is another sign once again that we could see a return of showers and storms, possibly even severe weather. So we'll keep an eye on that closely, especially as we head into the second week of August. And then after that, we, of course, we'll continue to watch it, but there is still a little bit of uncertainty. But overall, severe weather can be expected. Let's also look at, whether we're going to be seeing an El Nino or La Nina, because this is the other thing I wanted to show you guys about this change, especially as we head into the month of August, September, and October. So this is going to be the time frame to watch for potentially a La Nina to form. So you guys can see that the latest value is negative 0.5, if why not a little higher than that, which means we are actually below that criteria for La Nina, but we would have to stay below that negative 0.5 line for 3 months for it to be considered a La Nina. Let me draw that so that you guys know where it is. It's right in between the negative 0.4 and the negative 0.6. So that's where that negative 0.5 line is. And like I said, it's right below that, as you can see. It's right below that line where you see that blue dot right there. And like I said, with it being below that, of course, we would be considered a La Nina, but like I said, it would also have to stay below that line for about 3 months. So if those water temperatures start going up again like this, as you guys can see, if it starts going up a little bit more past that line, then we would have to, start all over to possibly see a La Nina. So we'll see how this plays out, especially as we head into the next few months, like I said. But right now, if this line once again stays below that 0 point or negative 0.5 line, then we would be considered a La Nina. But like I said, it would have to stay below that for at least 3 months. So as long as it continues to stay there, then we may be considered a La Nina, but that still remains uncertain. Now, here's the reason why we're watching for a La Nina, because despite those water temperatures still kind of on the edge between either a neutral phase or a possible La Nina, the National Weather Service is fairly confident about there being a La Nina, as it does show the highest chances of there being a La Nina, as you can see, especially as we head into the months of October, November, and December. This is when we're going to really need to keep an eye on that, as we even could see that La Nina continue even into the winter of 2025 to 2026. And there's still a chance we may see an ENSO neutral phase. And that's kind of where we're on the edge as of right now. And it looks like we'll definitely see an ENSO neutral phase even as we head into the spring of next year. But like I said, it's still going to remain very uncertain about whether this is going to really be the case or not. But either way, a La Nina is definitely on the table. And like I said, we are going to keep an eye on it closely, as the chances of a La Nina are about 50-50 right now, right up to that 50% line, which means, we either see a La Nina or we don't see a La Nina. And from what I'm seeing, I think if we do see a La Nina, it would be on the weaker side of things, mainly due to the chance. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you guys is those water temperatures in the eastern Pacific, and also what we could see if we do end up seeing a La Nina. Because right now, like I said, those water temperatures in the eastern Pacific are kind of mixing, okay? We're kind of talking about a little bit of a mix of colder water and warmer water, because you guys can see that some of the waters are above normal, some of the waters are below normal. Where you see those blues and greens, that's below normal. Where you see those reds, orange, yellows, and even some of those maroon colors, that's above normal. So like I said, it is going to be something that we must keep an eye on closely for today, especially given the fact that we could see La Nina once again, especially as we head into the next few months. And you guys can kind of see where that La Nina is trying to set up. It doesn't mean it will be like that, but once again, right in here is where we're going to be seeing a La Nina if we do see one. But like I said, that is still to be seen, because we don't know exactly if that's going to be the case or not, but we will keep an eye on it closely. And then the last thing I want to show you guys is what we could see if we do end up getting a La Nina once again, because you guys can see that if we head into the winter, let's go ahead and select precipitation. You guys can see that for August, September, and October, this already shows us trending above normal for not only the eastern United States, but also portions there of the western United States as we enter late summer and early fall. And then once we head into September, it actually shows that dry area increasing across the central United States. And then it shows us going right back to seeing above normal precipitation for December, January, and February. That is going to be the time frame to watch, because once again, if we do see a weak La Nina, that would bring above normal precipitation to the Ohio Valley, maybe a little bit there of the Tennessee Valley, up there into the Great Lakes region, even over there into the Plains and Rockies. So like I said, that's going to be one of the reasons why we're going to watch for La Nina, because if we do see one, like I said, then this would probably be about how it would set up. Now, if we compare that to temperature, you guys can see that this is exactly what we would expect if we do see a La Nina once again, as this even shows us trending even below normal as we head into August, September, and October. So like I said, if we do see that set up, this, will allow for colder air to come on in pretty quickly, because once again, with all that warm air staying south, that will allow for more cold air to surge on in. And you guys can see how that cold air, or at least the chances of cold air, continue to increase even as we head into December, January, and February February this winter. So like I said, that just goes to show you that if we do see a La Nina, this would be what to expect. And like I said, it's not something that we can say that's going to happen right now, but either way, it is something that we're going to keep an eye on closely, as there is the potential that we could see one. And that's really about all we have in today's forecasts. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We recommend you guys subscribe to the channel, as we will continue to keep you guys up to date with this weather pattern. And like I said, we apologize for the inconvenience for anything that we didn't keep you guys up to date with, but we will certainly continue to keep an eye on the pattern very closely, especially as we head into fall and as well as into winter. And we will also keep you guys up to date on what we can expect in terms of severe weather. So we recommend you guys also turn on all notifications, so that way you guys don't miss out on any of my future videos or live streams. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday out there, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.